Hey guys, welcome back to Real Housewives Recaps. Today I'm covering 90 Day Fiance, my new obsession. Before the 90 Days, Season 3, Episode 3, Little Lies. You guys, these episodes are blowing my mind. I'm literally recording each of these right after I watch them so I can get down all my thoughts on everything that happened. I just can't believe how crazy this show is. I'm watching it on Hulu, so if you're looking to watch it with me, check it out there. Otherwise, watch this recap and get ready to have your mind blown. Hey guys, I just want to take a second and say if you're enjoying this show, please check out my Patreon. Go to patreon.com, search Real Housewives Recaps, or check the comments below and I'll put a link. And for $1 a week, you can support my show and get 4 bonus episodes per month. I'm covering Scary Island, like the greatest season of Real Housewives of New York. So check it out. Thanks so much. Okay, we pick up with Avery. She's the 19-year-old in Columbus, Ohio. She and her mom are at the airport. They're trying to leave Columbus, Ohio for Lebanon. She's missing her phone. She's really upset. She's going to try to meet her fiance, Omar. And they re-explain to us that her mom is not into this. She doesn't want her to leave without her phone. She can't find the phone. They end up going anyway. But her fiance, Omar, lives in Syria. Whew. Syria, of course, is having a terrible civil war. It's really dangerous over there. But they're going to meet in Lebanon, where she plans to get married, and she's gonna come back home with her mom, mom's coming back after a week, she's coming back after 2 weeks, and she's going to file the paperwork in America, and then this is the part mom doesn't know about, is that she is going to try to go back and live with Omar in Syria while she waits for the visa to come through. Mom has no idea. So we see 24 hours later, and again, not having watched this show, I'm still surprised by this, but I love that they do this. They show the other side, what's going on. So over in Beirut, London, Omar is checking into his hotel. He's a dentist. He's studying for to go on to orthodontics. And he's very excited to meet his soulmate. He's very cute. So he is real, and he does seem into her, and he's talking about how he loved Syria until about 2011. That's when the civil war started, and how tough it is for everybody in Syria. He's lost friends, but he's so happy he's met Avery. She changed his life. And religion is very important to him. So, of course, she converted from Christianity. She now wears the headscarves, and his religion won't allow him to date or to kiss. He's never held hands with a woman. She, on the other hand, has had a past. She's done what she's done, and he's not happy about it. So he doesn't want to talk about it. He doesn't want to hear about it. I'm sure everything will go smoothly, right? Okay. Moving on. I have a lot to say about Darcey this episode. Darcey's 44. She lives in Connecticut. She met Tom 4 years ago, before this Jesse guy. Again, I haven't watched the 90 Day Fiancé, but I've heard about this Jesse guy and her relationship and how awful it was. So she meets this guy, Tom, before him, and then when she and Jesse break up, she leans on Tom as a shoulder. So this is just so many red flags on both of their sides. She is such a mess, and Tom won't pick her up from the airport. So this is supposed to be maybe potentially her soulmate, and he won't pick her up from the airport. He says maybe she needs some time to do what she needs to do. He'll send a driver for her, and then he's going to meet her at a restaurant. What? We see her and all this luggage making her way through Heathrow. She finds the driver, this nice man right here. He's like, okay, you ready to go? And she's like, oh yeah. Hey, I'm Darcey. So she then tells him, hey, do you care if I just change clothes real quick? And he's like, oh no, it's fine. He's polite about it. So this person goes into the bathroom, okay, with some suitcases. This is all in front of the camera. Strips down, is basically taking a shower under the sink there, washing up. She's making this poor guy wait while she digs through her stuff. She does things like this. She's brushing her teeth. She's putting on more makeup. I mean, it's just so crazy that she's showing all this in front of the camera. Boobs out, everything. This girl cannot stop primping herself. She's got these boots. She's really getting ready for a date. This is the outfit she chooses. Squirts herself with like 45 squirts of perfume, and they show it all on camera. 45 minutes later, we see the sign saying, this poor guy has been waiting for 45 minutes. And what is this look? Wow. There's a lot going on to wear in an airport when you're first going to meet this guy you've been talking to for 4 years. Oh my goodness. So she's excited, but she's saying, what if everything's not as I imagined it to be? And they're going to meet at a restaurant. I just find that very weird. You get off this crazy long flight, and the first thing you do is go meet at a restaurant. That just strikes me a little weird. But she's excited and nervous, and she brings up Jesse again. Again, I didn't watch it. I know about it. Sounds like a mess. She can't stop talking about him. The other thing she can't do is stop playing with her hair and her makeup and her face and mostly her hair. She just can't leave it all alone. It's so crazy. Like, you think you'd be a little more conscious of the camera in your face, and I understand she's going to meet this guy that she likes, but the primping is like I've never, ever seen. All right, let's go over to Angela. Angela just makes me laugh harder than anybody else on this show. She is headed to her lawyers. She's talking about, so she's got her fiance, Michael. Apparently she was on previous seasons, haven't seen it, but I heard about it. She filed for this visa for him to come to America after they get married, and to get married here. They filed it a year ago. Well, the lawyer tells her, listen, it takes a long time. It's still going to be another 5 to 7 months. This lawyer told this woman probably about 30 times, be sure to think about this. Are you thinking about this? Do you know what you're doing? Are you thinking about it? She starts telling him about the social media issues she's having. So Michael, apparently, he gets on Instagram a lot and posts pictures of women, and Angela does not. She is not into that at all. Also, Michael wants a baby. Angela's 53. You do the math. So the guy's like, listen, really, really, really think about it. And the court's going to be looking to see if it's a real relationship. It's going to be several more $1,000s before this is done. Also, he explains that she has to sign a financial statement saying she will be responsible for him. Even if they break up, she is responsible for him. He cannot go on public assistance of any kind. That's crazy. I didn't know that. So then we go back over to Rebecca. Now, if you remember, she's just flown to Tunisia, which is at the top part of the northern part of Africa, and she's met up with her 26-year-old boyfriend, Zied. And they're super happy. He's wearing a shirt of her quote-unquote picture. I say it like that because she always uses filters when she sends in pictures. And she's saying we already have an issue. So when she arrived, he asked her to rent a car for 3 weeks. He has a license, but you have to have 5 years driving experience to drive a rental car in Tunisia, and he doesn't have that. So she has to drive everywhere. She had to rent this car for 3 weeks, and she said it's super expensive. So, and then to make it worse, immediately she has to just start driving, and she's saying there's no lines anywhere. She doesn't know what to do. People are wandering in and out of lanes. Everybody's honking, and she's kind of freaking out. And he just keeps saying, no problem here. So far, she says she has no feeling he's like her ex, who was from Morocco and very controlling. And he's like talking sexy talk to her. He's never... Yeah, I got confused. I can't tell. He's either been with one person or no people. I'm not real sure, but he has very little experience. And she's saying, wait till we get to the hotel. So they pull up to the hotel, and she freaks out because the car in front of her they're showing, they searched it for bombs. Zied is like, listen, chill. This is how life is in Tunisia. And she's like freaking out. So then they show him over at the hotel. She has made him a scarf that he pretends to be excited about. Then he says he's nervous for sex with Rebecca. And then says, and I quote, she's 20 years older. She's a grandmother. That's not what you want to think about when you're about to have sex with someone. She's saying it's been a year since she's had sex, so she's ready to go. They're both very nervous. It's been building up for months. It's very awkward. Now remember, she has not told him that she's technically still married to the guy from Morocco. She filed for divorce like right before she left, but they're technically still married. And this is a big deal. This is going to be a big deal for him if and when he finds out. So let's go over to Benjamin. He's new this episode. He's 33. He lives in Phoenix, Arizona. He works for an alternative energy company. He calls himself project support, but it looks like customer service of some sort. He was married for a long time. He said he and his wife were together for 7 years, and they split about 4 years ago, and she filed for divorce on their anniversary. They share a son, Grayson, who's 5 years old. He is very active in church. He's trying to be a minister. He's trying to get ordained. Well, okay. Let's talk about what's going on with him. He refers a lot to his last relationship taking all of his money. He talks about his budget a lot. He said he's finally starting to date. Okay, so he's been ghosted on dates several times. So he says he expanded his parameters. And then he says he doesn't like to date in Phoenix. Well, he ends up meeting Akinyi. Akinyi is 26 years old. She lives in Nairobi, Africa. So he sent her a message, and he said they've been talking ever since. He's excited. She's beautiful. He's excited that she's a Christian. They video chat, and he says he knew she was the one. He's going to Kenya to make sure that they click in person. Now, Akinyi has never dated a white guy before, so this is going to be a big deal. She's explaining her culture. You only bring home the guy you want to marry. In African culture, there's a bride price given, so this becomes a huge point of contention. He won't even, she won't tell him how much that is. And he's afraid to find out because he's worried he doesn't have the money for it. He's saying that of course, his son he has to support, and living on his own, his living expenses uses up all his money. So he has no money for this bride price. So she's saying, if you don't pay it, I will cry. And of course, he's responsible for Grayson. He shares 50-50 custody. And he does say if she gets in the way with the Grayson situation, he'll have to come home single, but that he would be devastated. So then we go back to Caesar. Caesar's 46 years old. In a few days, he's going to Mexico to meet Maria. This is Maria. She's in her 20s, and she's from the Ukraine. Okay. So much to say here. I have real trouble watching his scenes because I actually find myself feeling sorry for him. He's getting so taken advantage of, but then I think, well, no, he's willingly sending the money, and he's just being real dumb about it. He has sent this Maria $800 a month for 5 years. 3 times she's backed out of meeting up with him. So he offered to fly to the Ukraine, and she's like, no, let's go somewhere warm and sunny. Let's go to Mexico. So he has to borrow money from his boss to make this happen. And so he's booked it day before. So he's supposed to be leaving tomorrow. She hasn't booked, soon. I think in 2 days. She hasn't booked it. She still hasn't booked her flight, even though he sent her $2,000 to do so. So this friend here is the only voice of reason saying, hello, red flag. Doesn't that tell you something's off? And he's like, oh, no, I love her. Here's an engagement ring I bought her. His friend's face is my face throughout the entire episode. Like, what? What are you thinking? And he's saying, I put my heart and soul into this. He says he's nervous and scared and hopes it works out. Okay, so then we're back to Avery, the 19-year-old from Columbus, Ohio. So she and her mom have flown 10 hours from Ohio to get to Turkey. From there, they'll fly a little bit more to get over to Lebanon. She says it will be terrible if she goes and doesn't have chemistry and they don't get married. It's so crazy. So she's doing her makeup and stuff in the airport, and she's worried that he won't like the way she looks, and she's just made up her mind she's going to do this. So her fear is that it won't work out because she's already made up her mind she's going to do this. And then we go over to Omar, and Omar's saying he's nervous and that he hopes she likes him. So we see him getting ready to meet her and her mom at the airport. And like I say, he's very nervous, and he's like, I hope I like her. I hope she likes me. Hope this works out. So then it's back to her. They talk about they're not going to kiss before marriage. Omar is waiting. He's very nervous. He has flowers. And we find out her bags didn't show. So she and her mom flew all these hours, and they don't even have their bags. They have to wear the same clothes that they're wearing. But it doesn't seem to bother her. She's super excited. So she's like, hey, look, I got a paper. I get my luggage tomorrow. So then she goes to meet him, and they hug. They seem super excited to meet each other. Actually seem super excited to see each other, and he's saying she's cuter in real life than she is behind her screen. And they're holding hands, and it's his first time holding hands with a girl. And mom says it's very sweet, but the cultural differences are extreme. Omar is worried about having conflict with her mom, and that makes him very nervous because the mom is asking about, like, why don't they drive in the lines and things like that? Just things she doesn't understand, and he seems already a little annoyed about the questions. So then we go back to Angela, the 53-year-old in Georgia who's going to meet her fiance, boyfriend, Michael, who's like 30, and he lives in Nigeria. So she meets up with her coworker, and she's venting. She's saying today is Michael's birthday. She wanted him to wait on her to come over to Nigeria to celebrate, and she's pissed because he went out and he won't answer his phone. He didn't answer his phone for 6 hours, apparently. She's mad, and she says he tells her what she wants to hear and still does what he wants. Well, I really like her coworker here because her coworker's like, Michael's 31 years old. Of course he went out, and he partied it up in Nigeria. Who wouldn't? So then Angela says my favorite line of the episode. She says, I don't have to go across the world. Do I look like a thirsty bitch? Having to work more hours to pay for everything. And oh my God, she's so funny. So she's really pissed about all the work. She feels like he's taking advantage. She says he can't. She says he can't keep lying. It's that simple. And that he just doesn't get it. And she needs to call Michael and to talk, because if he doesn't tell me what I need to hear, then I'm just going to cancel the trip to Nigeria. So then we go back to Darcey. Darcey's about to meet Tom. Okay. I would like to remind you she spent almost an hour in the bathroom making this driver wait for her while she put on her makeup and changed her clothes. The entire time, all we see her do this entire trip is work on her makeup and primping. It's like distracting. She just can't stop with everything. It's just all over the top. It's too much. So she says she's nervous and she's anxious, and the driver's going to drop her at a restaurant to meet Tom. Well, then we go 24 hours earlier and we get to see Tom. Tom, he's got so many red flags. So he does not look like his picture. He makes a joke about using, pictures from 20 years ago, and I think that's what he's done. I mean, it's funny. He's a distributor for a sportswear fitness company. He says he lives the bachelor's lifestyle, whatever that means. He likes to do all these weird brags. He's very braggy. He says, I've had numerous amounts of women in my past, and he's good at getting them to the bedroom. It's everything after that. And then he talks about how beautiful Darcey is. He explains the same thing she did, that they met on social media about 4 years ago. And then he talks about knowing how to take a good selfie. This guy's very vapid. There's no depth to this guy. He says he was a shoulder to cry on after Darcey and Jesse split, and he said that's just so not normally his thing, so that made him realize, oh, hey, maybe I like her. So he ends up meeting up with his sister and her boyfriend, and the sister says he's been heartbroken before, so he's closed off. I think she's trying to humanize him a little bit. So it's interesting because we get a little bit more of a clear picture of what's happening. So Darcey apparently says she loves him, and she was even talking about hoping he proposes. He is saying he's just not sure. He's downplaying it and saying, listen, I know she loves me, but I'm not sure. And sister's boyfriend's like, hello, that's warning bells. And he's backpedaling, saying, well, let's just meet and see how it goes. But Darcey has very different ideas. Okay, so now we go back to Rebecca and Zied. So, it's the next morning. They got it on. They talk about last night, saying it was amazing, romantic and passionate. And they say I love you to each other. And she says she wants to ask questions to make her choice more clear and to get to know more about him. She brings up the Morocco guy again and says, I've made so many mistakes with him. I don't want to do that again with Zied. So they end up going, once they finally get out of bed, they go to this outdoor place. It looks like a hookah cafe or something like that. And Rebecca tells him she wants to find out more about him and who he is. Okay, so this is where we start to see the red flags with these two, because before her, he only had one relationship. And he said it lasted 2 years, and that now he hates her. He saw her talking to other men. Sounds like the girlfriend may have been unfaithful, and he calls himself jealous. Well, this is a huge trigger for her because her ex was very jealous. And he says, well, I'm not your ex. And Zied doesn't want to talk about the ex because it makes him very upset. And she hasn't told him she's still married, by the way. How's that going to work out? But she's starting to get the sense like, oh no, I found another jealous one. So we'll see how this plays out. So then we go back to Benjamin, the 33-year-old guy in Phoenix. And he's traveling to see Akinyi. They're going to meet in Kenya. She's 26. So he's at his bank. And this is a continuing theme for him. He uses all his money, to support his young son, who's 5. And just doesn't really have anything left over. So he's between covering, he said he has enough to cover the plane ticket and his bills, and that's it. So he's really worried about this bride price thing, and his friend is going to come over and help him pack, and they're going to talk through this. And again, the friend is the only voice of reason because she's like, he may be being a little naive about this. And he's saying it's the girl of his dreams, and he may be planning his wedding soon. Yet his friend's like, are you going a little fast? I'm worried about you being let down. Also, she's worried about this woman that he doesn't know becoming a stepmom. She seems to be the only one thinking about that. It didn't even occur to him about this. A friend brings it up about what if Grayson doesn't like her? And Ben says Akinyi has the qualities of being a good step-parent. How do you know? You don't even know this woman. Then we're back at Angela. Angela is saying the visa is going much slower than planned, so she's going to Nigeria to celebrate Michael's birthday with him. She's still pissed that Michael went out on his birthday. She says she's pissed he lied again. I can't tell if it's just that he went out. I didn't watch before, so I don't know. She's making it seem like he's cheater. I don't know if she just needs all the attention. It's really hard to say. We see this wild conversation. She gets on the phone with him and she just starts yelling, saying, "This is why we have problems. You have a lying problem." So then she tells a story about meeting Michael's friends. She calls them the goofballs. She really doesn't like his friends. She thinks they encourage him to stray. And she said she didn't trust him. And she still doesn't trust him, she said, in 2 years, whatever that means. So I guess for the last couple of years she's been doubting. He got wasted and messed around on her, possibly. That part was very unclear. They showed a flashback. So if any of you guys watched the older season, fill me in. Did he mess around on her? Because it sure sounded like he got drunk and did. She says he doesn't respect her. And she was excited about seeing him. Well, then all he has to say is, "I'll make it up to you, baby. I love you." And she immediately calms down. She wants to go to Nigeria to see if he's lying to her again. How the hell is she going to find out anything by going to Nigeria? Do you think his friends are going to tell if he's been messing around? Sounds like probably not. She calls him, "You lying MFer," before hang up. So that sounds like a super good relationship. So then we're back to Omar and Avery. So they're in Lebanon, and in 2 days they are getting married. Omar has a room down the hall from theirs. They only hug. They don't do kisses, not till they're married. Mom asks what Avery thinks when they're by themselves. Avery says, "I think he's wonderful. I was excited to hug him. He's never had a girlfriend and never held a hand before." And he's saying looking into her eyes is more interesting to him than physical touch. Mom's saying, "Do you still want to marry him?" And Avery says 100%. And then Mom says, "Are you still coming home?" And Avery says 100%. So Mom thinks, oh yeah, no problem. She's definitely coming home. And it sounds like she is going to come home, only to turn around, file the visa, and fly back to live with him in Syria. Mom doesn't know that yet. So then it's back to Darcey. She's in London meeting Tom, 39. Okay, so they're both very nervous. She is meeting him at a restaurant in this outfit because he didn't pick her up from the airport. So here he is. I just don't get a good vibe from either of them, so maybe they're perfect for each other. So it's just weird. I mean, he's way more nerdy than he led on to be in his pictures, and she's a whole different, I don't know what she is. So here she is, still primping and looking at herself in the reflection and very pleased with herself. So they end up meeting each other, and it's awkward, and there's silence, and they meet, and they seem to like each other at first, but it's definitely uncomfortable. She calls him James Bond, so, you know, I'm sure that goes a long way with him. So what's interesting is he says she wasn't as happy as she should have been to see him. So he thinks that she's not into him physically. I think he's got a sensitivity about that since he was sending older pictures and posing a certain way. I think he puts on this front like he's so secure and confident he overcompensates that he's really not. So okay, this is where things really get weird, because he then tells her, she brings up something about the room they'll be staying in, and he tells her, well, your room will be nice. And she's like, wait, what? And he's booked her an Airbnb. He feels like she's coming on too strong, and he literally says, I don't want her at my apartment or flat, whatever. Oh, she's pissed. So he says, let's take our time and see how it goes. Darcey to camera says, I'm confused. I thought we were at a different space in our relationship. So she really doesn't understand what's going on. And once again, we see him convincing her, just like the airport thing, like, oh no, it's better if I don't meet you there. He's trying to convince her, oh no, it's better if you have your own Airbnb. So then we go back to Caesar. Caesar, of course, he's in Jacksonville, North Carolina, 46 years old. Tomorrow, he flies to Mexico to meet Maria, his totally real Ukrainian girlfriend. So come to find out, even though he sent her $2,000, besides the $800 he sends her a month, she still hasn't booked her ticket. So he's saying he's on the edge. He's shaking. And she says she will buy a ticket, but she doesn't have the money because she needs to do her hair, her teeth, etc. And he's like, wait, what? And she says, I guess you don't want to see me then. He's already spent $2,000 on this ticket. I'm using ticket in air quotes. So he talks to this client about what's going on. And, oh my God, while he's doing her nails, he gets a text from Maria. And Maria's like, yeah, I didn't book it because my mom has her birthday tomorrow. And trying to put it off, saying, how about we go in 2 weeks? He's already spent everything he has, plus money he doesn't, borrowing it from his boss to try to get there. And he says she's breaking his heart right now. Okay. So this lady at the nail spa recommends, hey, I have an idea. Why don't you just buy her a ticket? Book the ticket for her, and that way she has no more excuses. So he already doesn't have money, and he's already spent a fortune on this Mexico trip. And now because of this lady's idea, I'm sure it's by the producers, he's going to buy a ticket for her that she should have already bought. Not knowing what her situation is from the airport and which airport and all this stuff. So he's going to buy a ticket for her to go to Cancun. Wouldn't you need all her information to do that, to buy a ticket? That's a little strange to me. But, so he goes home and he looks it up, and it's $1,600 to buy a flight. He's booking it. He says he hasn't paid for his rent, his water, his electric, nothing. He used his whole paycheck to buy this ticket. And then he says, now it's real, she has to come. That is how the episode ends. Every time I think this show cannot get any crazier, they go and do stuff like this. And they do. It just gets wilder every episode. I just can't believe what I'm watching here. I'm obsessed. Greatest show ever. Completely insane. Makes me feel better about my life. Wow. Okay, so I hope you guys have enjoyed this recap. Thank you so much. Leave me comments. I love reading the comments. Find me here. Find me on Twitter at Real Recaps. If you're interested in supporting the show, check out my Patreon. It's just $1 a week, $4 a month. It gets you 4 bonus episodes where we're talking about Scary Island and all the crazy stuff that went down in early Roni. So check that out. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Have a wonderful week. Bye-bye.